Fuzz, God says he did the next thing is after the land came up, he said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants. So now we got plants and trees. Does that square with the evidence in the fossil record?
Well, one thing to keep in mind, and maybe Hugh can even jump in here, is that in the original Hebrew, the words that are translated as seed-bearing plants and trees really is probably being over-specific. The Hebrew words that are used in Genesis 1 are a little bit more general and can refer to any type of plant. And so our model would be not that all the plants that ever existed were created at this point in time, but that the first plants that appeared on land appeared in this time, and that subsequent to that there were other miracles that God was doing to bring different types of plants into existence that would sustain the animal life and also play a role, as he was talking in this.
Yeah, you don't say that all the plants that ever were created there.
No, I mean the cryptogamic plant life forms, these are symbiotic colonies that existed 3 billion years ago in Earth's crust. That was critical to prepare the continental land masses for advanced plants, vascular plants, where you got this flow of water going up and down these stalks. That can't happen unless you have these billions of years of previous existing, more primitive plant life forms.
Yeah, and again we need to hit this thing of God does things in steps. People say, why didn't God just create all of it in an instant? What do you say to that?
Well, God chose the laws of physics that he did for the universe. I think it has a lot to do with his desire to efficiently conquer sin, evil, and suffering. And given those laws of physics, that would mandate a certain order of creation. God chose the laws of physics for a higher spiritual purpose. Then within those laws of physics, he creates life according to a pattern that we would recognize as extremely rapid and extremely aggressive. I mean, billions of years sounds like a long time, but when you really look at all that needs to be done to prepare for human beings and human civilization, it is indeed very rapid and very aggressive.
Yeah, didn't some of the scientists actually talk about that they were amazed that the universe was so fine-tuned, but over such a long period of time, seeming just for man in a short period of time?
Well, Brandon Carter back in '83 made note of the fact how amazing it is that given the physics of the universe, human beings can reside here in so little time. 14 billion years is an incredibly brief period of time to get everything set in place so that human beings can exist. And he made note of the fact that although it takes this minimum of 14 billion years to prepare a home for human beings, the laws of physics would only permit a very narrow window of time in which human beings can exist, in particular human civilization can exist. Frank Tipler and John Barrow calculated a maximum of 41,000 years for human civilization. When you compare that 41,000 years with a 14 billion, that means it took 1,000,000 times longer to prepare a place for human beings, and I'd argue it would take miraculous input to make it happen that fast, and yet the window of time in which we can exist with civilization is so incredibly brief. And Carter's point is that means there must be an extremely high purpose for the human species, for a creator to expend all of that time and effort and resources for something that lasts such a whisper of time.
Yeah, is it biblical to say that the universe, the stars, and the earth itself are one big illustration that God loves us and cares?